Marcus Stone was the richest man in the city, but he had no idea he was also a father. When he fired Sarah Martinez for poor performance, he thought it was just business. 3 days later, a little girl knocked on his door and whispered, "Daddy, you fired Mommy?" Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The rain drummed against the tall windows of Marcus Stone's corner office on the 40th floor. He barely noticed. His cold gray eyes were fixed on the quarterly reports spread across his mahogany desk. Numbers, profits, losses. These were the only things that mattered in his world. "Sir?" His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "The cleaning staff evaluations are ready for your review." Marcus didn't look up. "Send in whoever's in charge. I want this done quickly." 5 minutes later, Sarah Martinez walked into his office. She was 32, with tired eyes and calloused hands that spoke of long nights scrubbing floors and cleaning windows. Her uniform was neat but worn, and she clutched a folder of employee records. "Mr. Stone," she began softly, "I wanted to discuss the cleaning crew's performance and—" "Cut the pleasantries," Marcus interrupted, finally looking up. "Your team's efficiency is down 12% this quarter. Costs are up. I'm making changes." Sarah's face paled. She had worked for Stone Industries for 8 years, ever since she was 24, and desperate for any job that would help her support her young daughter. "Sir, if I could explain?" "No explanations needed." Marcus pulled out a termination letter he'd already prepared. "Your services are no longer required. Security will escort you out. Please, Mr. Stone. I have a little girl. She's only 7 and—" "Not my problem." His voice was ice. "Business is business, Ms. Martinez. Nothing personal." Sarah's hands shook as she took the letter. Tears welled in her eyes, but she held them back. "You don't understand. My daughter, she—" "Security," Marcus called out, cutting her off. 2 guards appeared at the door. Sarah looked at Marcus one last time, her lips trembling as if she wanted to say something important. Instead, she whispered, "She has your eyes." Marcus barely heard her as she was escorted out. He was already back to his reports. The storm outside matched the one brewing in Marcus's life. His company was facing its biggest crisis ever. A major contract had fallen through and investors were pulling out. He sat alone in his penthouse apartment, a glass of whiskey in his hand, staring at the city lights below. His phone rang. Another reporter wanting a statement about the company's troubles. He let it go to voicemail. Then came a soft knock at his door. Marcus frowned. The doorman should have called up. He wasn't expecting anyone. Another knock, even gentler than the first. When he opened the door, he found himself looking down at a small girl with enormous gray eyes, eyes that looked exactly like his own. She wore a worn pink dress and clutched a stuffed rabbit. Her dark hair was damp from the rain. "Are you Mr. Marcus Stone?" she asked in a tiny voice. "Yes. Who are you? How did you get up here?" The little girl took a deep breath. "Daddy, you fired Mommy." Marcus felt the world tilt. "What did you say?" "I'm Emma Martinez. My mommy is Sarah. She cleans your building. Used to clean your building." Tears started rolling down her small cheeks. "She's been crying for 3 days. She says we might have to move away because there's no money for rent." Marcus stared at the child, his mind racing. Those eyes. That face. Something deep in his memory stirred. A night 8 years ago, a conference in Chicago, a beautiful young woman he'd met at a hotel bar. "Sarah." "This is impossible," he whispered. Emma reached into her small backpack and pulled out a crumpled envelope. "Mommy wrote you letters. Lots of them. But she never sent them. She said you were too important to bother with us." With trembling hands, Marcus took the envelope. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to him, dating back 7 years. The first one was written in a hospital. "Dear Marcus, I know you probably don't remember me. We met in Chicago during your company conference. I'm writing to tell you that you have a daughter. Her name is Emma and she was born today. She has your eyes." The letters continued through the years. Emma's first steps. Her first words, "Dada," even though she'd never met him. Starting school. Each letter was filled with love and hope, but also with understanding that Sarah never expected anything from him. "I'm not asking for money or recognition. I just thought you should know that you have a beautiful daughter who asks about her daddy every night." Marcus sank into his chair, still reading. Emma stood in his doorway, watching him with those familiar gray eyes. "Mommy says you're not a bad man," Emma said quietly. "She says you just forgot how to be happy. She says sometimes grown-ups forget that love is more important than money." "Why are you here, Emma?" Marcus asked, his voice barely a whisper. Because Mommy is sick. Marcus looked up sharply. Sick? She's been working 3 jobs since you fired her. She cleans offices at night, works at a diner in the morning, and babysits in the afternoon. Yesterday she fainted. The doctor said she's too tired and worried. She needs to rest, but she can't because of the bills. Emma sat down on the floor and opened her backpack again. She pulled out a small handmade book titled My Daddy in crayon letters. I made this for you, she said, holding it out. Marcus took the book with shaking hands. Each page had a drawing, a little girl and a tall man holding hands playing in a park, reading together. On the last page, Emma had written in careful letters, I love you, Daddy, even though we never met. Mommy says love doesn't need to see someone to be real. Something broke inside Marcus's chest. 8 years of coldness, 8 years of putting money before everything else, 8 years of not knowing he had a daughter who loved him. Emma, he said, kneeling down to her level. I'm so sorry. I didn't know about you. If I had known. It's okay, Daddy. Mommy said you might say that. She said sorry is just the first step. The important part is what comes next. Marcus stood outside Sarah's small apartment building, Emma's hand in his. He had spent the entire night thinking, planning, and realizing how empty his life had been. He had everything money could buy, but he had nothing that truly mattered. Sarah opened the door and her face went pale when she saw him. Mr. Stone? Emma, what are you? How did you? She came to see me, Marcus said quietly. She told me everything. May I come in? Sarah's apartment was tiny but spotless. Photos of Emma covered every surface. Birthdays, school plays, Christmas mornings. 8 years of memories that Marcus had missed. Sarah, he began, I read your letters. She closed her eyes. Emma, you didn't? I'm glad she did, Marcus said. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not knowing, for not being there, for firing you when you tried to tell me. Sarah sat down heavily. I never wanted anything from you, Marcus. I thought you should know you had a daughter. Why didn't you send the letters? Because I know who you are. You're Marcus Stone, CEO of a billion-dollar company. I'm nobody. I didn't want you to think I was after your money. Marcus knelt down beside her chair. You're not nobody. You're the woman who raised my daughter alone for 8 years. You're the strongest person I know. Emma climbed onto her mother's lap. Daddy wants to help us, Mommy. He told me so. I don't want your money, Sarah said firmly. I'm not offering money, Marcus replied. I'm offering something much more important. I'm offering to be a father. A real father. The sun streamed through the windows of Marcus's office, the same office where he had fired Sarah 6 months earlier. But everything had changed. Photos of Emma now sat on his desk next to the financial reports. Drawings she had made hung on his walls. His schedule was different too, no more 16-hour days. He left work at 5 every day to have dinner with his family. Family. The word still amazed him. Sarah worked in the company now too, but not as a cleaner. Marcus had discovered she had a degree in business that she'd never been able to use. She was now his director of employee relations, making sure that no single parent in the company would ever face what she had faced. Daddy? Emma's voice rang through the office as she ran in after school. This was their routine now. She would come to the office, do her homework at the small desk Marcus had set up for her, and then they would all go home together. How was school, sweetheart? Good. I told my class about how you and Mommy fell in love again. Mrs. Johnson said it was like a fairy tale. Marcus smiled. He and Sarah had indeed fallen in love again, or perhaps for the first time, really. The scared young woman he had met 8 years ago had grown into a strong, compassionate person who had taught him what really mattered in life. Mr. Stone? His assistant's voice came through the intercom. The Peterson account needs your attention. It can wait until tomorrow, Marcus said, closing his laptop. I have more important things to do. Emma beamed. Like helping me with my math homework? Like helping you with your math homework. As they walked out of the office together, Marcus, Sarah, and Emma, the cleaning crew was just arriving for their evening shift. Marcus stopped to talk to each of them, asking about their families, their children, their lives. He knew all their names now. The security guard smiled as they passed. Have a good evening, Mr. Stone. See you tomorrow, Emma. Bye, Mr. Rodriguez. Emma waved. Outside, as they walked to the car, Emma slipped her hand into Marcus's. Daddy? Yes, sweetheart. Are you happy now? Marcus looked at his daughter's upturned face, then at Sarah walking beside them, and felt something he had never experienced before, complete contentment. I'm more than happy, Emma. I'm home. Good, Emma said matter-of-factly. Because Mommy says that when you love people you should tell them every day. So I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Emma. Both of you. As they drove home through the city streets, Marcus thought about the man he used to be, cold, focused only on profit, believing that success was measured in dollars and market share. That man had everything money could buy but nothing that money couldn't buy. This man, this father, this partner, this person who had learned that love was the only currency that truly mattered, this man was truly rich. The little girl who had knocked on his door and said, "Daddy, you fired Mommy," had given him something priceless, a second chance at being human. And for the first time in his life, Marcus Stone knew what it felt like to be complete. Emma's 8th birthday party was held in the park. Not at an expensive venue, but on the grass under the trees, with homemade cake and games that cost nothing but brought infinite joy. Marcus watched his daughter run around with her friends, her laughter echoing through the air. Sarah sat beside him, her head on his shoulder. "Any regrets?" she asked softly. Marcus thought about his old life, the empty penthouse, the 16-hour workdays, the loneliness he hadn't even realized he felt. "Only one," he said. Sarah looked up at him, concerned. Marcus smiled. "I regret that it took so long for Emma to knock on my door." Emma ran over to them, grass stains on her dress and joy lighting up her face. "Daddy, come play with us." "I'm coming, sweetheart." As Marcus got up to chase his daughter around the park, he realized that the most important deal of his life hadn't been signed in a boardroom. It had been sealed by a 7-year-old girl who taught him that love doesn't knock politely. Sometimes it shows up at your door in a worn pink dress, holding a stuffed rabbit, and changes everything. And sometimes that's exactly what you need.